What's going on, everybody? My name's Crypto Core. I'd like to thank you for joining me. And today we've got a Veve and a Comey video, but a little bit more general discussion as well. I thought that one interesting thing that had happened, and I just started seeing it on Facebook, is people started showing their drivable DeLoreans. And I just recently purchased an ultra rare DeLorean. I already have the common. I did buy the rare just to finish the set for points purposes, but man, I love the fact that I can drive that thing around now. I can't wait to go find I'm gonna go find an empty parking lot somewhere, and I'm gonna seriously go play with my toys. I might even so I've got an iPad, and I might just go ahead and just log in on my iPad and see if I can't get excuse me, I gotta make a hard turn here. But I want to get my iPad and maybe go out to a big parking lot, and maybe I can drive it around, and the larger screen and maybe the thumb sensitivity on the iPad will make it to where it ends up being an awesome experience. Now, that's not really what I'm here to talk to you about. It's much more about if you're looking into Veve and you're trying to think of Veve as is this going to make me rich? Am I going to become wealthy from buying Veve NFTs? Not necessarily buying OMI. This isn't going to be an OMI discussion. But if you think that buying Veve NFTs are going to make you rich, that's kind of the topic. So it all depends on who you are, what you're kind of wanting, what you think is going to happen. But there's some realities that a lot of people just need to understand before they heavily invest into the project. So I've invested into NFTs now I've invested a little over $4,000 into all NFTs that I own. And I'm sitting up, obviously I'm sitting on a good profit already. So I'm already at a starting point of profit, and I'm spending more money that's not yet in profit. But it's it's almost like I'm trying to catch up to my profit and just spend enough to where I'm, broke even again. And then the next pump, hopefully it'll, drive it up even more. But there's something to be said for someone who's gotten in maybe in the last few months, and, maybe they've been seeing their collectibles go down. Maybe you bought right before the peak or during the peak. Maybe you're trying to get into Veve right now. Maybe you're an OG like me. But there's all kinds of circumstances that surround people who are involved in the trading and in collecting of NFTs. And I don't want to be the person to sit there and say, buy this, it's going to make you rich, because what you could be buying is you could be buying something worth a certain amount of money, and then over time it might gain enough for whenever you cash out, you profit a few bucks maybe. But maybe not necessarily you make big bucks. I know this personally from Pokemon. So as of right now, I've got a bunch of Brilliant Stars Pokemon cards, or sets, sealed sets, and they're only worth the shipping cost above the item on eBay right now. So technically, after the eBay fee, it would be at a loss. So you have to hodl them for a longer period of time when they're out of print, when they're sought after, if they become sought after. Because that's the other side of the coin, is I bought it at retail, but there's no guarantee that it is going to be, after it's out of print, anyone's going to even want it. It could be a horrible set with horrible cards no one wants. So you run the risk of, if you collect sealed cards or just buying Pokemon in general, in order to invest in them or to collect them, you could run the risk of losing money. Now, on Pokemon as a whole, I make money. On Veve as a whole, I make money. But there are a few things on Veve I am definitely down in. I bought a common Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. I bought the common version for 900 gem, and it is right now sitting around 200. You know what I mean? I'm down on that one. But there's plenty where I got for 60 and it's worth $3-4 grand. So that's kind of what it is. It's I've bought so much and I've been here for so long, and I've made some of the drops and I know all the angles of the drops. So because I was able to do the drops in such a really, really good order, I used to get 80% of all drops in 2021. So when the Disney drops came out, I got 3 golden moments. Like, that's super hard to get. I did it with one device. I just didn't have my second device at the time to be able to go for multiple drops. But I was able to secure, golden moments of the originals. I did not get the partner statue. I tried so hard. I did so much, and I wish I would have been a little bit better on how I did things. I'm a little bit smarter now on how to do drops versus whenever the partner statue came out, but I'm not so sure I would have still if I would have gotten it or not. But because of those things, and I've been here for so long, I'm in profit. A lot of people are not in profit right now. They've been getting drops. So if I were going to give you any advice, if you're new, you don't have a whole lot of money to spend, is wait for a collectible you want. And right now is not a terrible time to be buying for a long-term have, but make sure that it's something that you want to collect first of all. The last thing that you want to do is to go get a labbit if you don't like labbits. It doesn't make sense for you to get weapons racks if you don't like weapons. It doesn't make sense for you to go get a Woody doll if you hate Pixar. So go get what you like first, and then after that, if you just see some collectible value here and there and it's just a cool collectible, yeah, that's worth it. But I would recommend you start by getting what you like, because you'll be less upset with your purchase. You'll be more emotional to the holding of that purchase. So even if it goes down, your emotions are attached to it, so you're more likely to hold it. Now, that does probably mean you're also more likely to hold it whenever it's really high and you didn't sell it. I didn't sell any of mine whenever the peak happened, but we didn't have any version of a cash out, so I was like, well, why would anyone sell things whenever we don't have cash out? Because they could miss out, and now we're down so much that I kind of wish I would have done that. But hindsight's 2020, buy the bottoms, sell the tops. That sounds great in theory, but go do it. When we look backwards in time, we can be like, oh yeah, I could have done this here and this what happened here, and you can follow it and you can track it and you can know, well, this is this and this and this and this is what it typically does if this happens. So we can look at it and make an inference, but at the end of the day, we just don't know what's going to happen. In my opinion, Veve collectibles weren't going to have that big of a dip, but then go up and up and up. Just because I felt like during the bear market, I felt like people were going to just be wanting to put their money somewhere, and things like video game NFTs and regular metaverse NFTs, and then the collectible JPEG style NFTs and stuff. I figured those things were going to take off because people's interest would be less into things like Bitcoin and more into just the collectibles themselves, because even though ETH might go down, the value of ETH that is the item can go up, and if you sell it for more ETH, you've accrued physical ETH. So when ETH does go back up, you've made a profit and a gain on the physical amount. So it's really funny because I've been investing for not too terribly long, to be honest, and as far as I can tell, the NFTs have done the best. They have. Plain and simple, have done the best. I turned a really good, fast, hard profit on the hero cards, and I was really glad, both digital and the physical. So I'm really glad that I did that, because if you look now that we're being flooded with physicals, the values of those cards have plummeted down to $1. And if you go to IMX, they're going to be less than $1. So it's really interesting to witness what the average price is of collectibles in various places, and what's the use case for these things, and even though yes, they're collectible, what does that even mean? I'm not dogging on Hero because I like Hero. I collect Hero, and I want to have a small physical collection where I just keep it because I like it and I want to collect it. And I'm not necessarily saying I want to finish a whole set, but maybe like a handful of artist characters and put them in a nice frame, and then maybe have a small binder of some, small cards that I have just to kind of have and look at in store. Just I like that stuff. But when all these people are going out and they're spending tons and tons of money on all these cards, and they're dropping in price because of the hype, you need to wait and you need to see where the bottom is first before you decide what you're going to buy into. But things like cards, they're just not going to be insanely valuable. There's just going to be a handful of cards that ascend to some Grail status or some S tier status, and the majority of them are going to be D tiers, like D tiers or F tiers. A couple B tiers, you get a couple mixed in, but for the most part, you're just going to have a handful of really awesome cards, and then you're going to have a bunch of junk in terms of value, not necessarily how cool they are, because some of these cards are really awesome. So this is more of an actual collector's hobby than it is something you invest into and make money. So, and most people who are kind of getting into various forms of NFTs, they do have money-driven aspects to their decision making. So it's I don't want to sit there and devoid the investor versus the collector, but I would like to say, like, if you are someone who's going to be collecting only, something like Hero is great. If you're someone that wants to be investing and collecting, I'm just not so sure that you can invest into Hero the way that you probably think you could. It's not saying that you couldn't buy a bunch of stuff now and then a few years from now you're not going to make money. Like, I'm not saying that, but my question is, let's say you were to invest into a solid company, like a company that has public shares, and this company has a really good track laid out in front of them, and they're executing everything, and they're gaining interest. So if you invest into a company and that company performs well, if your money can grow exponentially more than just collectibles that are only valued by the collectors themselves, that's why there's only a handful that are sought after, because people kind of just pick a handful of their favorites and they hodl them, they diamond fist them, and then they get so many duplicates of the other cards because they're hunting for these handful of cards. So they have so many duplicates, it just drops the price because of the large influx of supply. So I think it's better to invest into something that grows. And that's their job is to grow. Like a company's job is to grow and to make profit. Where cards are typically meant for collecting and holding and more of an enjoyment factor. So if I were going to tell someone who's looking in an NFT, they want to get something that's collectible, but they also want something that they can make money on, I would stick with Veve, or I would go to maybe Crypto Skulls is what I've been looking into for Ethereum. I've been looking into Boss Cat Rocket Club. That's out of Cardano. Soul Apes. I've looked into Soul Apes. So there's just a few projects I'm looking at for a few different coins, and we'll be making some decisions in the future for sure. But I know it's just long form, just kind of talking about various stuff and just more like Veve philosophy. I'm gonna do my best to invest and make good money, but at the same time, I am a collector that collects, various things. So I will be getting things that, if I'm talking to you about them, I might be excited, and they might go up in value. I might talk about the value of some of them, but the company as a whole, or the collecting hobby as a whole, isn't necessarily meant to make money. So just to give you a heads up, if you're looking to make tons of money off of what I'm saying, I'm not necessarily, at times maybe, but with anything that's like NFT collectibles, for the most part, I'm thinking more on a collector's side than I am thinking on a investment side. I much more would rather invest into coins or stocks or something, along those lines. Again, Thank you for joining me. I'm Crypto Corey. Nothing I say is financial advice, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good day. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend.